Okay, brew day. So I got a new turkey fryer. Thank you, my work, for giving me this, because it was on clearance. Anyway, brand new turkey fryer, and I cleaned it out, and I'm just saying clean, not sterilized, because we're going to be boiling water in it, so it'll be sterilized at that point. But I wiped it out really good. I did use a cleaning agent with no residue really behind. Watch out for using soaps, because you don't want to get soap scum boiling up in your brew. Anyhow, it's a good size one, so we're going to be doing the boil on this today. Also, I know I've pointed out that and I'm sorry about the lack of good lighting in here. I know I've pointed out that I have a lot of bottles. Your average beer bottle is 12 ounces, at least here in the States, is 12 ounces. That's 355 milliliters. And I've got a lot, which I hopefully over the next couple of months I'm going to be filling up a lot of, because I really haven't brewed a lot in the past couple of months. What I've started doing, however, is I've stopped saving 12-ounce bottles, because I've just got tons. Every 2 cases here is a batch of beer. Batch, batch, batch. So I've got a lot. Got some down here. So what I've started doing is saving these huge things. Here is Anchor's a Magnum-sized bottle. This is basically a larger champagne bottle, but you'll notice that these champagne bottles have beer-style tops. So this can be capped, and this is great for a gift. I'm going to make some beer, give it to somebody as a gift. It's a nice big bottle. A lot of these are. I want to point out, same story on these things. Clean them, get the labels off them. Unfortunately, some breweries are really bad at making their labels removable. Breweries that won't be named who paint their bottles. So we home brewers who still bottle have to look at that. Anyway, so your equipment's ready to go. Everything's, you see the bottling buckets, they're full of a sanitizing solution. Everything's in there. Got my carboys, which I'm probably not going to use on the brew day. We're going to go to a bucket first and a carboy later. But those are clean, and now they're sanitized because I've got a bleach dilute in there. So everything's ready to go. All right? So that's really step 1. Equipment's waiting to be used. Here's step 2 on the brew day. Okay, so step 2 on brew day is yeast. I use White Labs pitchable liquid yeast. Right? I take this out of the fridge, shake it up real good to break all the yeast up in there, let it sit on the counter and get used to the room temperature for 2 to 4 hours. And once the sweet wort is ready, I can pitch it right in there and I'm good to go. If you've got dry yeast, you can pitch it directly into the sweet wort once you're at the correct temperature. However, I strongly recommend rehydrating it first, only because you want to get these yeasts ready for the environment they're going into. What it does is it cuts down on that lag time. From the time you pitch that yeast into the brew until the time they're furiously turning it into beer, the shorter that lag time is, the better. Rehydrating dry yeast is a good idea. And if you rehydrate them in a warm water with, say, sugar or dry malt extract, you can, just like your bottling, you can boil it in there and then let it cool down and put this stuff in there. That's even better, because the first thing they're going to do once they come out of that, dry, frozen state they're in, is they're going to fortify themselves to get ready to reproduce. So if they start doing that before you pitch, great. That's just cutting down that lag time. If you've got a smack pack, what you have is a bag of yeast slurry, inside of which is a small bag of a yeast nutrient. It's not a starter, that's all it is that yeast nutrient. You pop that yeast nutrient, shake it up real good, let it sit on the counter. The thing about smack packs, and I've never used them, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 days from the time you take it out of the fridge to the time you pitch it in the beer. So you take it out, according to the instructions, you're going to take it out, let it sit on the counter and warm up. And then you're going to pop it and shake it, and you're going to let it sit and puff up, and the next day it's ready to go. Yeast starters, which I've never done, and I've never done them simply because I don't have the equipment. I think they're a good idea, and I think pretty much most people think they're a good idea. Yeast starters are a way to take this small colony of yeast and turn them into a large colony of yeast by basically making almost a mini brew, getting them ready to pitch them into some sweet wort, and letting that go for a day before actually pitching it into your beer, or your near almost ready to be beer. You can find some pretty good information on yeast starters. White Lab's website has some information. MrMalty.com has some information. There's a lot out there. I also don't have an oxygenating set. Not that I don't think it's a nice thing to have, I simply don't have the equipment. So if I had it, I would use it. I don't have it, so I'm not using it. And it's not necessary, it's just nice. Okay, so yeast, ready to go. The next thing is water. I'm doing a 5-gallon batch. A US gallon works out to about 4 liters. Close enough. So what I'm going to be adding into the boil is 5.5 gallons of water, because we're going to lose some of that volume to the boil. Their other way of doing it is a partial boil. If you don't have the turkey fryer, or because of weather in your area you can't go outside and use the turkey fryer and you're going to be doing it on your stove, you can also do a partial boil where you're, let's say, going to boil 2 to 3 gallons of the volume instead of the entire 5. This can be helpful as well if you're short on equipment. I can boil 5 and I can cool it down quickly with my chiller. Once it's done, once that boil period is over, you need to quickly and cleanly cool it down. So you think to that end result. If you're only going to boil 3 gallons and you don't have a chiller, it's going to be a lot easier for you to take that 3 gallons, put it in the sink and cool it down by adding 2 gallons of water. Or if you're Alton Brown, you can boil 4 gallons and then add 7 pounds of ice. Stir that in and that's going to cool it down real quick. The debate over water quality. I use my municipal water supply because it is clean, it is odor and taste free. I do not recommend demineralized waters like you would use in, say, your iron. I've never seen anyone recommend them. I have seen a lot of authorities say that they're a bad idea to use. In extract brewing, it might not be a big issue. But as you go from extract to partial extract to mini mash to all grain, it becomes more of an issue because your grains need to react with those minerals in your water. If they're not there, there's not going to be reaction and it's not going to work. The other thing to remember is your goal for water is you want something that's taste and odor, something that's odor-free and tastes good. And demineralized waters don't. They may be odor-free, but they don't taste good. They have a flat, lifeless taste when it comes to water. That's why nobody drinks them. If your tap water's not good and you're going to go to the store and buy water, don't buy demineralized water. If you buy purified drinking water or those things, remember those are just municipal tap waters that have been filtered. So if you have Brita, you can do that yourself for a lot less money. There's also glacial water and spring waters. Those are exactly what they imply. Legally, and where I live, glacial water has to be glacial water. Spring water has to be natural spring water. So you can use all those, but really what it boils down to is you want clean water that is odor and taste free. Okay? So we've got our water, we've got our yeast waiting to be used. We're gonna get the water into the pot and then we go to the next step.